Hello, and welcome to Azelio's Capital Markets Day. I am Jan Svensson, and I'm responsible for investor relations here at Azelio. This is mainly a digital event, so I'd like to welcome everyone who joins us online. We also had the opportunity to invite a small number of people to our live event here in the studio, so a warm welcome to you too. We look forward to share with you today the status of our company, how we create value for our customers, our view of the market for energy storage, and inform you about our goals and financials. There will also be a Q&A session at the end. And if you log on to your YouTube account, you will be able to post your questions in the chat functions, and we'll do our best to answer as well as we can. We will hear today from Jonas Wallmander, the CEO of Azelio, and we will also hear from Eva Ramström, acting CFO, Torbjörn Lindqvist, CTO, Tine Kato, Sales Strategy Manager, and Ralf Wiesenberg, Vice President, Business Development. We'll also have a guest speaker with us today, the Executive Director of the Long Duration Energy Storage Council, Julia Souder. We expect this event to take no more than 2 hours. We will have a short break in the middle to get ready for the second part. And we hope that you will find this event informative, interesting, and inspiring. So with that, I would like to welcome and hand over to Jonas Wallmander, CEO, to introduce Azelio and to provide overall context for long duration energy storage and the Azelio solution. Welcome, Jonas.
Thank you. And yes, my name is Jonas Wallmander, and I am the CEO of Azelio. So, what I want to first, before we start this is also the World Long Duration Energy Day, or World Storage Day. So we should celebrate not only that we have the first Capital Markets Day of Azelio, but also that this is the World Storage Day today, the 22nd of September. So Azelio provides systems for long duration energy storage. And this technology is the key transforming renewables such as solar and wind into energy that is available 24/7. So we provide stable energy solutions with renewable energy. And energy storage is the fastest way to stabilize our grids and increase the share of renewables in the global energy mix. So Azelio's system is unique in the sense that we are able to provide a distributed long-duration energy storage solution. And Azelio is today the only company, to our knowledge, that has installations up and running that is focusing on the commercial and industrial market when it comes to long-duration energy storage. And our mission, Azelio's mission, is to change the way people use renewable energy. We enable plannable, controllable, and affordable renewable energy around the clock, 24/7. We have a solution that is going to mitigate the energy crisis, be an important piece of the puzzle in the fight against climate change, and enable self-sufficient renewable energy for business and consumers. And during the last 6 months, Azelio has transformed the company quite drastically. We started out with a strategic review when I entered as new CEO. And the first thing that we identified was that we had to set new, realistical operational targets. And based on this, we decided on a plan on how to reach these targets. And this plan, there is one theme, one important theme in the plan. And the theme is focus. It's focus on the key markets. It's the key to also, when we go to this market, have a plan for each market, and also combine that with a volume plan that we can meet and our suppliers can meet. And when we looked at it, we realized we had to restructure and tailor our organizations such that we could deliver on these goals. So what we have done during the last 6 months is we have created this new plan, and by adapting our organization to the new plan, we are able to save 150 million Swedish kronor on an annual basis. So, based on this, Azelio has recently announced a fully guaranteed share issue to finance the company to positive cash flow. So now let me share some more details on our way forward and how we will use this money. So at this moment, we are in a situation where many macro factors are pointing in our direction. The world is changing, and we have to change with it. We have the climate crisis, forcing the world to terminate fossil fuels, start deploying renewable and clean energy sources on a large scale. We have the energy crisis that really incentivize predictable and cost-efficient energy sources, not depending on volatile markets or weak energy grids. So on top of this, we also have the increased political instability, and the political instability is driving the world and the trends towards more clean energy independence and self-sufficiency. So these are macro factors that are moving the society in the direction of energy storage. And more specifically, storage, whether it's that can be delivered over more than a few hours, enabling the use of cheap and clean electricity. That is the market that Azelio targets. So, looking into the global energy crisis, the ones that are really affected the most, that are the customers that are located far out on the grid, that have no grid access or very low grid access. They have increasing, rising energy costs, and the grid instabilities are worst if you're far out on the grid. Today, there are huge challenges in almost all industries and economies around the world, where there is a need for constant and reliable power. To give you an example, energy challenges have real consequences. If a poultry farmer will have most of his production wasted with only a few hours of blackout. Only this week, I got the information that our customer in South Africa, he had 2 hours of blackout. And unfortunately, due to this, 200 of his chicken did not survive. And this strengthens the importance for our customer to have our system up and running as quick as possible. And this urgent need is the same in other market segments, such as in the mining, other commercial and industrial applications, where loss of production have huge implications. We have a solution to meet these challenges. But we are not only supplying the electricity from a clean source, we are also supplying heat from a clean source, boosting the efficiency of the solution and meeting the around-the-clock power demands for communities and businesses that need to run day and night. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jonas, for that briefing and background about the global and local challenges and the solutions needed. Now, we're very happy to have a special guest with us, the Executive Director of the Long Duration Energy Storage Council, Julia Souder, via link from the US. to tell us about the Elders Council, energy storage from a global and overall perspective, and what's happening and what to expect next in the energy storage arena. So thank you so much for joining us, Julia. Welcome, and over to you.
Great. Thank you so much. It's great to be here today, and I want to also say happy World Energy Storage Day. Thank you to Azelio for the presentation and really highlighting the importance of long duration energy storage to meet our global net zero targets. It's such a critical component to addressing the changes and the challenges that we have in our various communities, energy security, politics. There's so many different components. So really happy to be here today and to share with you our presentation. I can't see the slide, but next slide, please. Thanks. Great, thanks. So we're really thrilled to have Azelio as a member of the Long Duration Energy Storage Council. We launched at COP26 in Glasgow with a net zero power report, highlighting the importance of long duration energy storage and really bringing together this unique partnership with technology developers, providers that really range from the 4 different types of long duration energy storage to anchor customers, manufacturers, developers, and capital providers to bring this unique voice to validate and really promote and accelerate the decarbonization that we need to shoot for to meet our net zero targets, and how critical long duration energy storage is to meet our needs. And we're really thrilled that this unique community is global, bringing lessons learned from around the world and sharing them with our communities. We're fact-based, producing many reports for our stakeholders to use to really emphasize the need to scale up and create these marketplaces quickly, because we have the urgency of addressing climate change today. And we really want to promote this is for society's benefits. Decreasing emissions and making long duration energy storage affordable is very important. We're an independent organization with our board that oversees all of our members working together to really, again, look at policies and different elements to help, again, reiterate the critical importance of long duration energy storage. So again, we're thrilled to have our diverse members. We're growing daily, and we're really thrilled to see the diversity of why this is so important to meet both behind the meter and front of the meter reliability components. Next slide. So our flagship report I just mentioned that we launched at COP26 really highlights the huge market opportunity and potential that we have for long duration energy storage. This is a very conservative number, but $3 trillion by 2040, just specifically on the long duration energy storage economy. There's so much potential here. And if you're looking at this kind of inflection point of the importance of all this renewable energy being integrated to the system, really promoting clean energy, when you have about over 60% of renewable energy integration, you have this nexus where long duration energy storage really starts to scale up, prices come down, and the element of the marketplace just really opens up. And in so many different countries around the world, there already is 60% of wind and solar, offshore wind, on the grid. And so we're already starting to see the critical importance of having long duration energy storage on the grid today, to make sure that we have the flexibility, the security, and the reliability to keep the lights on. Next slide. And so another report that we published with our members and bringing in the shared expertise is pointing to various tools to really give the right market signals so that long duration energy storage companies and customers can really validate, again, the importance and the benefits that you see. So long duration energy storage brings a variety of ancillary services to the grid, and it's really important that you have the criteria to help validate this. And as we really push to reduce emissions and really meet the clean energy targets of every hour of every day, every month, and every year, we can use different tools like a 24/7 clean power purchase agreement, where we actually can match the real numbers and metrics of decreasing emissions at the same time also decreasing prices, because you have long duration energy storage filling in the gaps. And we've created some different metrics that we've been working with global players to really start implementing how we can incentivize reducing emissions and providing added value with long duration energy storage. And we have all of these published on our website, and look forward to working with all of you on making this come to fruition. Next slide. So what we're really excited about too, and working with Azelio and our members, is a new report we'll be publishing at COP27, really focusing on net zero heat. So showing that long duration energy storage has a critical role in addressing our global economies and promoting clean energy with net zero power and net zero heat. And this great importance of flexibility when you're looking at the entire ecosystem of the energy system really helps you address the ups and downs of the system and how we can see that long duration energy storage plays a critical role in providing both heat and storage. And what's really exciting in this report is that we're demonstrating that there are solutions. There are solutions today in the marketplace like Azelio that are helping really bring the awareness to power and heat decarbonization and working in agricultural farms and industry and businesses and cities and urban areas. The role of thermal energy storage is critical into the entire landscape. And we've provided a lot of benchmarking data from our members to really help validate this. And as we look ahead to 2040, 2050, we're helping provide pathways and business cases to, again, just give additional momentum and insights and value add to the important role of long duration energy storage. And it is a critical component in meeting our net zero targets globally. And it really shows that there are so many different opportunities where long duration energy storage can provide a value add. So next slide, please. Again, really excited that Azelio is here today promoting the great work they're doing around the world. And really happy to see many of our members' projects becoming commercial today. Sending the right signals, getting that regulatory certainty is so key. And I think as all of us continue to work together, it's really inspiring to see how long duration energy storage can de-risk the transition and really help provide that certainty we need in the marketplace. So thank you again for the opportunity to be here. Look forward to any questions.
So thank you very much, Julia. That was very informative and interesting, and it will give us a valuable perspective to keep with us for the rest of the day. So again, thank you for joining us, Julia. Now, back to Jonas again to put the Azelio solution in relation to other solutions from a market perspective. So Jonas, please.
So thank you, Jan, and I think it was very informative and a lot of information from Julia here. And I really believe that the Long Duration Energy Storage Council is a sort of way to sort of educate the market on the need for long duration energy storage. So how is Azelio, where are we positioned in this storage market? Azelio has a unique value proposition with our long duration energy storage. Very often we are compared with such as lithium-ion batteries. And lithium-ion batteries, they are super good if you need a couple of hours of storage, up to 6 hours of storage. I would say that's the solution. They are on the market. That's a perfect solution for a couple of hours. Then they have different services that they can provide. But if you have more higher need than 6 hours, and we are comparing our solution and the electricity produced by lithium-ion batteries, we are by far the most competitive solution. And then we can compare with the other long duration energy storage solutions. And what differs us from the others is really that we are focusing on a different segment. We are focusing on this sort of smaller segment where we are focusing on the industrial and commercial clients. And this is due to our modular design. We can be what we call behind the meter. This is that we are selling our equipment or our power directly to the end customer, to the farmer, to the mine, etc. And by this, we have carved out a special space for Azelio moving forward. And thank you for that. And I will hand over to Jan once again.
Thank you, Jonas. So now to learn more what makes our product suitable for the market niche that Jonas just talked about here and how it works and its uniqueness, I would like to introduce the CTO, Torbjörn Lindqvist. Welcome, Torbjörn.
Thank you very much, Jan. Now I will, for the next couple of minutes, I will talk you through our technology in more detail. My name is Torbjörn Lindqvist and I operate as the CTO at Azelio. And I've been involved in this project from the very start. So I have quite a lot of insight into it, and that's what I want to share with you now. So before talking about the details, I mean, I'm so happy that for the introduction from Julia to set the scene, why this is important, and what's the drivers behind the technology specification that we set out a few years ago. It's not, I can't reiterate enough to say the importance of this technology, long duration energy storage, because it is the enabler to grow the installed capacity of wind and solar. So if you want to do that, you need energy storage. But that is not new. As we've seen in the graphs before, there are other technologies. I mean, the long duration energy storage Council has maybe 50 or more different companies developing this technology. And I will tell you what differs ours from some of the other ones. Pumped hydro, for example, has been there for many, many years. And it's by far the greatest installed capacity worldwide. The downside is, though, it takes time to build, and you can't build it everywhere. And we want to deploy technology close to customers all across the world. And that's where we started developing our technology. Batteries, as Jonas said, we can deploy them today. They work fine, few hours here and there, and it's a fantastic technology. But it doesn't cover the 24/7 solution that we have developed. And when I say 24/7, I mean renewables, daytime, and some of that renewable that we produce daytime, we store in our thermal energy storage, and we deliver that to customers at night or even during the day when they have a need for that. I said thermal energy storage. We are in that sector. So we use a thermal storage, not battery, not chemistry, not pumping water. We melt aluminium or aluminium alloy with silicon at around 600 degrees C. That's a perfect system to power our heritage, and our heritage is a Stirling engine, and that's what we have as an own IP technology to convert heat to electricity. And not just only electricity, we also use that to produce heat. But I will come into that a little bit more later. What we sell to the customer is really a cluster with its own control system. So it responds to demand. The customer does not see really what's inside that cluster, but I can talk, that consists of several units. So each unit we call test pod, and the cluster could comprise of 20 units, 40 units, and so on, depending on how much power the customer needs. Each unit in that cluster is a Stirling engine that can provide 13 kilowatts of power. And on top of that, we have something like 25 kilowatts of thermal energy at temperatures below 60 degrees C. So that's what you get from each unit. So if you have 20 units, you will get 250 kilowatts of power, and you will get up to around 500 kilowatts of thermal energy. That's what you have available in that unit. When you do these designs for a customer, when we get a request from a customer, so we then say we size a PV field, and we size a cluster or a number of different test pod units to match the customer demand. In this modeling, we take into account, are we connected to the grid? Are we off grid, behind the meter, in front of the meter? Do we need gensets? How strong is the grid connection? How much power can we actually transfer there? And the main objective, are we going to design it to minimize the fuel burn, or are we going to design it to minimize electricity to the grid? So having all of those components, then we can design the system. And by far, the most important component in this system, even if you have gensets and batteries to complement, by far the most important thing is the thermal energy storage system that we call the test pod. So this is a unique solution, as Jonas said previously. There's no other solution that can provide a 24/7 completely renewable system to a customer. So charge daytime with renewables, discharge nighttime, to provide the customer with electricity. And it's scalable. Each unit, 13 kilowatts in clusters, and that's how it's connected. It's modular, it's efficient, and it provides very low cost of electricity. In that system that we have chosen materials that are environmentally friendly and abundant. So we've chosen silica, aluminium, and the heat transfer media that we have with connecting the storage with the engine is sodium. And there's plenty of sodium, but of course that's sodium chloride, it's a salt, but without the chloride component. So there's plenty of that, and it's all environmentally friendly. And that has been a key driver for us when designing this. No hazardous and no scarce materials that you have to find in mines worldwide. Other things that are good with this design is that we don't need any cooling devices. We don't need cooling towers, cooling water, and we definitely don't need to control the temperature in the system, which you may find in other technologies. And because of the reason that we don't need cooling water, the engine needs cooling, but we normally do that with ambient air. So ambient air is cooling the engine because it's a thermal engine. As thermal engine operates, you provide heat and you extract heat, and that cooling. And that's what I want to focus on now. That's the heat we can provide to customer. And depending on the customer's heat demand, he or she could be interested in heating up a pond for fish production. Then we're looking at fairly low temperatures that the customer is interested in. We can do that. The engine automatically adapts to that temperature. If we want to produce desalinated water, the temperature goes up because the temperature goes up to maybe 60, 65 degrees C. The engine adapts to that. So the temperature range between low and high temperatures, that's automatically controlled and set by the unit itself. And that's a huge advantage, and there are many, many applications where this relatively low temperature range is highly sought after worldwide. Many, many applications, as we will hear from speakers later on in this pitch. So the technology we have put in place, it is operating. Last year we validated performance, we validated its functionality, and we got that signed off by a third-party D&V. Currently we are operating a number of units worldwide to collect data to show its lifetime operation. How does it work on a longer time span? And that's ongoing work now. And we are confident that we will deliver this technology to customers, and we recognize that we've had technical issues, but all companies who develop new products and revolutionary products do face that, but we have an excellent engineering team behind us who have dealt with these issues, and now we have a product that we feel confident will be put in the market, and hopefully the sales will take up as well. So I think that concludes a very brief technical insight into our product with supplying electricity at night time and as well as heat. So thank you very much for listening, and then hand back to Jan.
Thank you very much, Torbjörn. Now we have talked about the energy challenges and the problems that we want to solve. We talked about what our solution actually does and how it works. Now it's time to shift focus to the customer perspective and to learn more about how we actually can fulfill their specific needs and how we create value for our customers. So for this, let me introduce and welcome Tine Kato, Sales Strategy Manager at Azelio. Welcome, Tine.
Thank you. In just a few decades, we will be more than 10 billion people on this planet. And we need enough food and water for all of them. To do that, the World Bank says we need to more than double our food production at the same time as we need to drastically cut carbon emissions. The challenge with that, well, if we assume production as it is today, is we don't have enough land to do that, and we don't have enough water. Agriculture currently accounts for roughly 70% of all global freshwater withdrawals. And as you probably noticed this summer, at least if you were here in Europe, our resources are starting to run dry. For those reasons, it is absolutely vital that we find new ways to make our production much more efficient so we can produce more with way less. The first step to making that happen is to make sure our farms have access to reliable, cheap, and clean power around the clock. Solar panels plus energy storage technology like ours is key to doing that fast. And I'll give you a small example to understand why. Let's say your name is Joe and you're running a yogurt factory in Australia. Where your factory is located, you have a very unreliable power grid. And this means you have power cuts every single day, which means you have to throw out entirely newly produced batches of yogurt because you can't pasteurize it or keep it cold. To become independent from this unreliable grid situation, you install solar panels on the rooftop of your factory. And that's great, because the panels, they cover your power need between roughly 9 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon when the sun is very strong. But for the remaining part of the day, you still have to run a diesel generator to produce enough power for your factory. Not only is that diesel generator noisy, smelly, and very expensive to run, it is polluting. These sort of cases, we see them all the time. And this is where Azelio's technology can really make a difference by replacing the diesel generator and making sure that customers like Joe have a stable and clean power supply, allowing him to produce and supply all of us with nice yogurts. So, not only is long-duration energy storage an enabler for customers like Joe here, it is an absolute necessity to make our local businesses prosper at the same time as they decarbonize their businesses. And we see a lot of interest from customers just like Joe. And whether they're producing dairy in their farms, processing walnuts, making wine, or the like, they have a huge power need, and they have a power need for reliable power. They need all of this power for different purposes: to pump water from the ground, to irrigate their crops, to heat for drying them, cooling for different processing purposes, conservation of their products. And often these processes, well, they're very energy intensive and they take place in remote locations far away from traditional energy supply services like the electricity grid. For all of these type of customers out there, it will never be enough to put solar panels on the rooftop. They need backup power for the darker hours of the day too. They need energy storage. This is why Azelio is specializing in delivering clean power solutions for the agricultural segments that are critical to feeding a growing population. With this focus, we can offer something of unique value to our customers. So let's talk about that for a little while. Our solution and its value to customers. Well, if we go back to the examples I gave before, if you're running a dairy farm, processing walnuts, making wine, or even, like Torbjörn mentioned, running a fish farm, you need that stable power supply. You need heat too. Small example, did you know that most warm water fish species, they won't grow or even reproduce at water temperatures below 15 degrees? And in fact, most of the things we consume, whether that's vegetables, fruits, nuts, or the like, they have an ideal temperature range where they thrive the best. But we are in the middle of a climate crisis where temperature fluctuations, they become larger. Droughts longer, and floods more extreme. And all of this is making it even more difficult for our farmers to produce the food we need. So to produce more with less, more than anything right now, our farmers need a stable power and heat supply. And by utilizing both, the round-trip efficiency of our system, like Torbjörn mentioned, is closer to 90%, which means that the vast majority of the energy that is used to charge our system will be used again. In other words, it makes a huge difference for our customers that we can cover both their needs for heat and power in the same product, and of course, that the business case becomes a lot better when the round-trip efficiency is high. Combining these two elements in our offering is actually a new thing. And we are right now running the first reference project of the so-called CHP solution, which stands for Combined Heat and Power, at a farm here in Sweden, where we are utilizing the test pod to power the farm's facilities and the heat to dry the crops from the harvest. Have a look at this video.
We are here in Haneberg, Eskilstuna, Sweden, where a groundbreaking development in energy storage is taking place. As part of a collaboration with the Swedish Energy Agency, Azelio has installed the test pod long-duration energy storage system. And this is a flagship project for combined heat and electricity application.
We are using renewable energy to charge our system, and by doing that, we are able to replace fossil fuels both in heating and in electricity applications.
My name is Jonas Wallmander, and I'm the CEO of Azelio. Long-duration energy storage addresses both the climate and the energy challenges. It reduces the impact of climate change by making renewables stable and available 24/7. And it solves the energy crisis by being decentralized, cost-efficient, and market-ready today. Azelio has test pod units deployed around the world and supplying clean power. This is the first Azelio installation where heat is being used. In addition to providing electricity, test pod is generating heat, which will be used to dry grain here at Haneberg farm.
I'm Anders Krusberg. I'm part of the family who owns this farm, Direkt.se. We have around 350 hectares where we mostly produce grain. You dry the grain to have a better quality and to store it for a long time.
My name is Torbjörn Lindqvist and I'm operating as the Chief Technology Officer here at Azelio. We have, for the first time in the world, demonstrated a new way of delivering heat and electricity to customers. The heat that we produce from our system is used to preheat the air to the drying process, and that heat is delivered through a hot water circuit. The system has been designed primarily to deliver electricity to the customers. But by including the energy from the heat, you can increase the efficiency. By this product, we are able to deliver heat at low temperatures to many applications. It could be agricultural, it could be mining, it could be local communities.
Haneberg, this farm, really wants to be a future-proofed farm, and all the things that Azelio offers with the heating, renewable power and electricity just ticks all the boxes that we want to have at this farm.
Drying grain is really one of the first applications, but what I see as one of the most important applications going forward is really the desalination and water purification. So far, this is the first project that we are deploying. This is a demonstration project where we prove that the CHP solution is working, but we are ready to deploy this in many new locations all over the world in all our key markets, like in US, in South Africa, in the MENA region and in Australia.
And the next step for us is to add the heat system in our installations around the world.
So, thank you very much for your presentation, Tina. Now it's time for a short break, so we can be ready for the second part of our presentations later on. We'll take 5 minutes. Please don't leave the meeting, and we'll see you soon again. One. And now, after Tina's presentation, we have learned about what value our solution can bring to our customers. And now it's time to learn about how we intend to sell our product and where. And to talk about that, I would like to introduce Ralf Wiesenberg, Vice President of Business Development at Azelio. Welcome, Ralf.
Yeah, thank you, Jan. And hello again after the short break. My name is Ralf Wiesenberg. I'm the Vice President for Business Development at Azelio. And now I would like to show you how we approach our markets for energy storage. First, let me give you some insight of the economic drivers which our customers have in the markets. And then let me show you how we entered the market and how we want to grow in the markets. Today, when we talk to customers and to partners, we see all over the world in all our focus markets the same economic drivers. There are a lot of customers who complain about their high energy prices, of heat, of power, and the unreliable supply of power in the markets. So to give you more insight on this, I would like to show you 3 examples from our ongoing projects. And let me start with our project we have in the US, the Handy Stop project in California. Handy Stop is a convenience store and a gas pump station in the rural area of California in the Central Valley, close to Fresno. And they're suffering a lot of the blackouts we have right now in California. So they have uninterrupted operation of their activities. And of course, the electricity price is very high. So by introducing our solution together with solar panels, we can supply affordable energy and uninterruptible energy to the operation of this gas pump station and the convenience store in rural areas. And of course, there's a specific situation in the US when we talk about tax reduction. Tax reductions are very important for our customers and investors. And there are a lot of programs right now for energy storage and renewable. For example, we have right now the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA, just approved, which give a lot of tax reduction possibilities to our customers. So of course, when we offer our solution to our customers, we will take this into consideration. And then the second example I'd like to present you is our water and power supply project in Egypt. In Egypt, we teamed up with the agriculture developer Engersat and the French desalination technology company to provide power and heat for oasis development, agricultural development at the Mogra oasis. So what's the situation right now? A lot of new agricultural development is going on in Egypt. Almost all of them are in the desert. And they need desalinated water. And to get this desalinated water, normally they pump the water out of the ground and then they desalinate it with diesel gensets. So you can imagine diesel will be is very expensive, polluting in the desert. So right now we offer opportunity right now to get energy costs down and provide a stable supply of energy for the desalination plants and for pumping water. So that means that right now when you have a new project, agriculture project, you can provide power and water stably over long term, over 15 years or more. And of course what we right now can do is by combining solar panels with our storage solutions that we can supply stable 24/7 power to the desalination plants so they can run around the clock. And finally, I would give you another example from Australia. We have the Weeby Limited, which is a poultry farm close to Johannesburg, South Africa. The situation before is, and we heard it before, that there are a lot of blackouts in South Africa, and the quality of the power is very poor. And then a lot of farmers, what they did is, they started to have their own supply with diesel gensets. But again, diesel is very expensive in South Africa right now, so they have a dilemma. They cannot rely anymore on the grid, and diesel is also expensive. So that's also the drivers who give us an advantage, because together with solar panels and our solution, we can provide to these farms affordable energy around the clock. And of course, we have one more thing, Tina mentioned it before, and Torbjörn as well, that we have the heat part. A lot of these poultry farms, they need heat. They need heat at night, and we can provide this with our storage solution. So summarizing, I think we can see that there are strong economic drivers all over the world the customers have, and let's say we have the right solution for these economic drivers. So right now I would like to give you some more insight of the WeBe project, and we have a small video for you where Corey Hansen, our site manager, and Reinhard Labuschang, the country director in South Africa, give you more update.
Hi, my name's Corey Hansen. I'm a site manager with Azelio, and I'm currently standing on the WeBe farm in Colony Province, South Africa, where we are currently installing 8 test pod units together with PV solar, and the energy provided will go to the farm, who has a combination of a corn mill and chicken houses. So currently we've installed 5 test pod units and more are on the way. And progress, I would say, is going very, very well. And the clients are extremely happy and excited for what we're trying to bring to South Africa.
Good day. My name is Reinhard Labuschang. I'm the country director for Azelio South Africa. My involvement with the WeBe project up until now was both commercially but also assisting our delivery team on site. It's very exciting and very interesting with this groundbreaking technology, and we are very excited with our client to get this project up and running. And in South Africa at this stage, we are looking at a couple of issues on the energy generation side. We've got aging transmission lines, we've got aging generating capacity, and also the steep increases globally in diesel fuel cost. And with a ratio of 30% outages on an annual basis that we call load shedding, it is very difficult for our customers to operate their plants and equipment as they should with all these power failures. We see a big opportunity for ourselves to move in, provide alternative energy, and ensure that our customers can stay on production and continue their operations as required. We are very excited with our client on the WeBe project to make sure we can get this started up in the next couple of weeks, and thank you for your time.
The project so far is going very well, and we have a great collaboration with our client. Almost every single day we have visitors come in and ask many questions about what we are doing here, which of course is very good for our future here in South Africa.
Great. I hope you enjoyed the brief video. Now I would like to share with you some insight on how we entered the market and what, after entering the market, how we create the basis for our growth in the future in this market. So during the analysis of potential markets, one thing was very clear for us. We cannot be in all potential markets. Let's say we have really used our resources, capital and people, in the most effective and efficient way we can do. And that means that we have to focus. So we had some essential criteria, like, for example, the growth potential of long duration storage in this market, or the labor force, educated and trained labor force in the markets. And of course, easiness to enter and to business into the market, in the markets. So these are the main, among others, but the main criteria we applied, and it came out that right now we are focusing on 4 markets. We have the US, we have Australia, we have the MENA region. MENA region means Northern Africa and Middle East, and we have Southern Africa. These 4 markets right now are our key markets and our tier 1 markets where we start to enter into the markets. And of course, gradually we will enter all other markets as well where we have a potential. And then of course, another step we have done then, once we identified these markets, we, let's say, set our local footprint in this market. That means that we hired local sales directors in each market. But one thing was very clear for us, and that is the center point of our sales strategy, that sales is local. Sales is driven locally, and that's why it's very important that, and we have done this over this year, that we have in all 4 markets our sales directors in place. Once we have done this, I think then it's very important to have reference plans. And it's very important to have reference plans in the market, in each market. It's really a sales enabler to have a plant in the market. We heard this before also in the video from South Africa. And it's very important then, let's say, that we can show the performance of this reference plant, that we have operational data, that we are bankable, and that this will then enable wider sales and wider growth for us in the markets and other markets. Gathering this operational data from these reference plants has started. So we are right now gathering data from our Master City plant in Abu Dhabi, from the new Energy One plant in Dubai, and also a special case from the Hanneberg farm here in Sweden, where we have a CSP solution. So we heard before also from Tine and from Torbjörn, the combined heat and power, that is one thing unique we have in our solution, and we are gathering also data from the Hanneberg farm there. Gathering data from the ESOP plant we have here in Sweden and from the Weeby farm in South Africa will start next month. So we have the reference plants, and we have to do one more thing in the initial phase. We see, and also Julia mentioned, power purchase agreements. So what we have done in the beginning, and we are doing right now, is that we are not directly selling our technology to the company, to our customers, sorry. We are offering energy as a service. So that means we are bundling our solution together with solar under a turnkey contract, and then offering this energy to our customers under a PPA, power purchase agreement, or a lease agreement. That by doing this, then let's say we make it easier for our customers to sign a contract with us, because they don't have this threshold of high upfront investment for an energy project. So that was really an enabler to get into the market, and this year is an enabler to get also further contracts in our sales markets, offering our service, energy as a service. So what will be the result of this? At the end of 2022, we will then ship our units to a handful of projects in these target markets, and then gathering data there to get bankability. And the next step will then, of course, step by step changing this model. I will explain this more in detail in some slides. So just to summarize what we have done, I think it's very important. What we have done so far is we have reference plans. We are gathering data with these reference plans. We have a local footprint because we have put in our regional directors in each market. And we adapted in the initial phase our business model to energy as a service, which enables, let's say, that we have companies signing up with us for this service. The overall objectives for the next year, and then we will step by step, we will change our business model, is that we have around 10 projects, mid-sized projects, around 500 kilowatt to 5 megawatt, which we are going to ship and install in these target markets. We have a strategy for each market, but what we will do is we will start this project, and we expect more sales in the Middle East and in South Africa. And why is that? Why is that? Because we have already reference plants in place or under construction. So that means this will enable, let's say, that the sales will grow faster in this market. Then we have Australia. We will start also with a pilot plant in Australia, and in the US, where we already signed a contract for a pilot plant, but where we have also the condition that there are a lot of technical adaptation we have to take into consideration. So, for example, we have the UL certification, which is different to the CE mark we have in Europe. So we're working on this right now, this year and next year. And we have also adapted to other frequency and voltage level in the US. The frequency is 60 degrees instead of 50, and the voltage level for our system is 480 instead of 400 volts. So also, all these things are ongoing, and that means that once we have this in place, then we also can grow in the US. And of course, we have the data from our first reference plants in the US. This is in parallel. But the big question is right now, okay, how can we increase sales in 2023 and beyond? Currently, what we see right now, we have the best traction in all 4 markets in the agriculture area. And take, for example, South Africa. In South Africa, we have 32,000 farmers who urgently need affordable, reliable, and stable power supply, and they don't have it. 10% of them, they have already PV in place, but that's not enough. They need a stable 24/7 supply for their operations. So we see a very, very good situation right now for us to enter the South African markets. And this situation we also see in slightly different ways, but in California or also in Australia or in the Middle East. And one thing we mentioned before, it's securing the finance of these projects for our clients, or how the clients can finance these projects. What we do right now in the beginning is that we are together with financial partners, we are setting up project companies, so-called special purpose vehicles, SPVs. So that is a vehicle specifically built and created for a project which then finance our installation and the solar plant. The idea is that Azelio has just a minor stake in these companies, and the larger stake, majority, is be done by financial partners. And what we do right now? Currently we discuss these setups of SPVs and negotiate the setup of SPVs, for example, in South Africa and the Middle East with financial institutions and larger industrial corporations. For example, in the agriculture, we are discussing right now this setup with suppliers of machinery, of seeds, of fertilizer, or off-takers of the products of these farms. Because these larger corporations, they have a natural interest that these farms can work properly. So right now we are talking to them how they can set up together with us as minority partner SPVs to finance projects with farmers. And what we see right now is that they are thinking further. They're thinking to bundle SPVs under the umbrella of a so-called project finance companies. So these are larger companies who have done different projects. That's what our partners do. And that is also an enabler then for the growth after 2023. So when we see 2024, 2025, we already are bankable. We have a lot of operational data, so we are bankable. And we will not, let's say, mainly we will not use energy as a service anymore. We will directly sell our technology to our end users, to turnkey construction companies, to project developers, and to these project finance companies, which has been set up by our partners. So I hope I could give you a small introduction and some insight how we sell and how we want to grow in the market. And thanks, Jan, back to you.
Thank you very much, Ralph. So we've established that there is a global need and a local demand for energy storage solutions. We have a unique and a competitive solution, and we have a plan on how to grow on the market. So now we're ready to deliver on our plans, aren't we, Jonas? Welcome back, Jonas, to talk about our readiness.
Thank you, and great to be back. I think that before we talk about the future, it's also important to talk about the past, because Azelio has, during the last 2 years, been experiencing quite a lot of different disturbances. I mean, we have all this, we had a timetable, and there were disturbances that maybe not individually, they were not disruptive, but with a lot of different disruptive things happening, they all led to changes in the schedule. And there are a lot of factors that created these disturbances. And some examples is, of course, the COVID pandemic. This really disrupted marketing, sales activities, as well as the startup of operation of verification projects due to the travel restrictions. The pandemic also sort of created this supply chain crisis, material delays, and the material delays has made a quite deep impact, not only on sort of being able to deliver components, deliver systems, but also in the technical development, where you always, in a technical development, find improvements. You find necessary improvements, and you have to do sort of modifications, and this is totally natural. But in a development process where the supply chain has huge constraints, this is really something that delays the time for development, and that has definitely been something that has disturbed Azelio. So given these disturbances and their impact on the schedules laid out a few years back, we can summarize the current situation that we have a lot of technical improvements that have been undertaken. We have been doing the actions, and we have updated everything. So we have a system and actions on everything. We have implemented them on an ongoing basis. It took longer time and to get these data series. And one of the main things is really the supply chain issues. And nevertheless, the company assessment where we are at this moment today is that we today have enough of running hours. We have these thousands of hours that is needed to secure the projects that we expect now and have now in 2022. And in 2023, these commercial mid-sized projects that will happen during 2023, they will sort of rely on the basis of these commercial reference projects that we sell and deliver during 2022. So, in summary, we have handled these challenges. We have also adapted the organization, and we have updated our plans. Now, we have units out there, our first commercial reference projects. And based on these projects, these are the projects that are going to be the base for the next step. And at this moment, we have a supply chain ready with a robust operation and trusted suppliers. We have skilled and experienced regional directors in place on all of our target markets. As Ralph mentioned, this is key to sell in these target markets. We have a technical verification, as Torbjörn mentioned, done by DNV last year. And We have done the strategic review, transforming the company, including cost reductions. So in many senses, we are in a better shape to deliver on our updated and now achievable targets. And before we bring you our financial update, there's once more time for a short film from our projects in Mastar, which is a very good example of how we accumulate hours of operational data. So Tommy and Professor Nicola, I think it's time like that.
Hi, my name is Tommy Malm. I'm managing the project behind me here in Mastar Institute Solar Platform in Abu Dhabi. It's 2 test pods being tested, and it's a project in cooperation with Khalifa University and Mastar Future Energy. The goal of the project is basically to test the units here for a full year and collect data and verify that the units are working in this climate and performing as they should. And the ultimate goal then is for Mastar to be able to include Azelio test pod technology in their product portfolio for future projects. This region is also a big market for the Azelio test pods. There's been a lot of PV installed, and the need for storage of the energy to use at the evening and nighttime is growing a lot.
I'm Dr. Nicola Calvé. I'm a university professor at Khalifa University, and I'm the founder and chair of the Mastar Institute Solar Platform. Behind me you see the Azelio test pod. This project is very important for us because UAE decided to deploy 50% of clean energy on the grid by 2050, and therefore we need long duration energy storage technologies such as Azelio.
In this climate, one of our main, so to say, competing technologies would be batteries, and they are really not having a good time in this climate. The temperatures reduce the lifetime tremendously, and they need to be cooled with ACs and so on. The units here, we started to operate them in April this year, so we have several months of data already, thousands of operating hours, and this data is already being fed back to both Azelio engineers and to the Khalifa University researchers, that in the end of the full year's operation here we'll make a report of the performance and how it went.
So thank you, Jonas. Now we've covered almost everything except for the financial aspects of the company. And to give an update on that, I would like to introduce and welcome Eva Ramström, Acting CFO of Azelio.
Thank you,
Welcome,
Jan.
Eva.
Thank you. I'm Eva Ramström, Acting CFO at Azelio. And as Jonas mentioned before, we now have a fully guaranteed rights issue of approximately 300 million crowns. The guarantors have provided a guarantee commitment of approximately 270 million crowns. And also our board members has committed to subscribe for 30 million crowns approximately. That would be 10% of the total rights issue. The purpose then with the capital raise is to strengthen the position of the company and finance the remaining parts of capital needed until we estimate to be cash flow positive. The net capital from the rights issue is intended to be used to finance the company's ongoing operations, to accelerate the commercialization of the systems, production investment in core technologies, and continuation of product development. The investment in commercialization in the company is mainly market investments to ensure the initial reference projects in our 4 key markets. The revenue streams, though, in the company, initially revenues will come from the first few reference projects, selling energy as a service through power purchase agreements or lease agreements, as previously explained by Ralph. The financing of these projects will be setting up special purpose vehicles, SPVs, together with financial partners. The goal is to sell the SPVs after 1 to 3 years to local partners or to co-owners. When the purpose of the initial reference projects has been accomplished, the revenues will come from a direct sales model. Our revenues going forward will come from direct sales as well as aftermarket activities. In connection with the strategic overview of the company, a reorganization has been made. This has involved notice of staff and also some other reduction of costs. The main parts of the cost savings consist of reduced workforce, which has lowered our personnel costs. Forward-looking projects have been deferred to the future, and some production investment have been postponed due to lower sales target communicated before the summer. And we also have a general strengthened cost control. The savings are estimated to reduce our cost on an annual basis with 150 million crowns, as Jonas mentioned before. And after this reorganization, we can see that we have a much more robust financial plan going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eva. Our financials are in safe hands. So by that, we have actually covered all the topics for today. What still remains is a summary of the day and some key takeaways from Jonas, followed by the Q&A session. Welcome back, Jonas.
Thank you. Great, and thank you, Eva, for the financial update. So, if we want to summarize, what we are doing right now and how we are planning to meet our goals. As we mentioned in the beginning, the key thing is focus and streamlining. Azelio is sort of really on the path of sort of taking the commercial step, and here we have the focus. So what we do right now is that we focus on sales, on the prioritized markets. We prioritize the data validation from our systems in field conditions. This is very important. That's why we need commercial reference projects. We press forward with our UL certification in the US, since in the long run, US will be the most important market, even though in near term we see the start of the sales coming up in markets such as the MENA region and South Africa. So, doing this, we achieve cost containment, and as mentioned by Eva, we have guaranteed our rights issue of 300 million Swedish kronor. So, but all in all, there are still challenges ahead, but we are on the right track. We have taken the right measures, and we have a plan that we strongly believe in. So we are here, and our mission is to power the evolution of a renewable society. So thank you, and Jan.
Yes, thank you again, Jonas. Thank you all presenters, very well done. It was informative, interesting and inspiring, as I hoped for. You're not completely off the hook yet though, because we now have the Q&A session. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're logged onto your YouTube account, you can ask your questions in the chat function. And we know that we already have quite a lot of questions, so we'll do our best to answer them all. But we may not have time for all of them, but in that case, we'll find a way to take care of that later on. So, we have a first question here to get us started. You say that the product is verified. Could you explain what that means?
When being verified is that we have, together with DNV, set up certain test criteria for the product. So how they want to test the product, and this is based on our technical specification. So what DNV has done is that they have performed, together with us, this kind of testing to make sure that our product fulfills our technical specification. And that is the report that DNV then has provided to Azelio, where they state that we fulfill the technical specifications set out in our technical specification that we give to the customer.
Good. So before we continue with the questions from the chat, I would like to check if there are any questions from the live audience here. Not right now. Let me know if you change your mind. So let's see what we have from the chat. We have a question from Oskar Wilhelmsson, analyst at Redeye. To Jonas, what are the most important initiatives that you have taken since you started as a CEO?
What I see as the most important thing that we did, and the most valuable thing that we did, was to really, the first thing, to do this strategic overview. This strategic overview has really led to all the initiatives that we have done so far from sort of when I took over. So the strategic overview have sort of opened up our eyes when it comes to cost reductions. It has opened up the eyes on how we go to market with the regional directors, and also sort of the need for cost containment and cost sort of control. So there are a lot of initiatives, but it's all based on one thing, and that's a strategic overview, and that we did immediately taken over.
Yeah, good. And another one for Jonas. What do you consider as the largest challenges for Azelio as a company in the coming 12 months?
There are, of course, challenges ahead. But I would call them, I mean, there are opportunities, but they're hard work, where we have to put in our hard work. I think it's in sales. It's to make sure that our installations really perform as they should in each target market. So, but the important things are really getting out, so getting these commercial reference product on the market and get them up and running, because that will lay the basis for the next step.
Thank you. We also have a question here from Kevin. What does your rollout in detail look like to getting close to reaching positive cash flow in the second half of 2023, since no orders or projects have been presented yet this year, also taking the installation time into account?
I mean, what we have communicated is that we will deliver a handful of projects during 2022. We are on our way to do this. We have so far the NOR project delivered. We have the WeBe project very soon up and running. We have the US sold, thank you. And of course the Handystop here. But I foresee that more orders will come during this year, and this will lay the basis for the next year. But what we see for the next year is that we will have 10 projects, at least 10 projects in this mid-sized range, from 500 kilowatts up to 5 megawatts during 2023.
Yeah, good. Now we have a question from Jonas. You expect to invest about 100 million crowns from the rights issue to finance your own projects. Could you elaborate a little bit on this decision? What do you expect in terms of size and markets for these projects?
This is really key. This market investment, what they the reason for this is to be a co-invest in the energy as a service projects. And as Ralph mentioned, this is sort of lowering the threshold for the customers to go with our technology. Do you want to add something to this, Ralph, or is it?
Yeah, thank you, Jonas. Yeah, I mean, as you said, the energy as a service, which requires co-investments, that's what we do in the initial phase. And step by step, we will reduce the need of our investment in this plant. And I would say the 110 million kroner we have, that is for the plants this year and part of the plants we have next year. And already next year, as I expect, and we are working with it, that we have operational data. Let's say once we have operational data for 6 months, so that means that we are bankable, and maybe we'll not get, let's say, 70–80% of the project financed by that, but we will get that. We are bankable, so that means the need of co-investments and market investment will go down significantly next year, and very fast.
All right, then we have a question from Oscar at Redeye again on competition. Is there really no alternative to your technology with long duration storage, even if you think of technologies in early stages?
There are, to our knowledge, no commercially available technologies for long duration energy storage in our market segment. There are some early stage companies for sure, but my when I look at them, I think that they have a couple of years until they can go into a more commercial state. So what we are referring to is commercially available long duration energy storage systems that are made for a sort of more distributed deployment.
Mm-hmm. And another one from Oscar about market. What is your most important market for the next 1 to 2 years? And what are the most important markets in the coming 10 years?
I think that Ralph made a very good answer on this in his presentation, but as we mentioned in Ralph's presentation, for next year we really see South Africa and the MENA region as the markets where we will have most sales. But in long term, if we talk about 10 years, for sure US is the biggest market.
Mm-hmm. Another one from Oscar. Would you argue that your test pod combined with PV would be enough to run an off-grid industry or farm? Previously you said that you can replace diesel gensets as backup power. Is that really so?
I would not call it backup power, because what we do is really that we create a 24-hour system. But to create a sort of complete off-grid system, there are many different services that you have to, sort of energy services that you have to provide. So in a complete off-grid, there will be other systems that are combined with our systems to sort of enable some certain grid services as frequency stabilization and so on. So there will probably be a smaller lithium-ion battery or capacitors. There will be some kind of backup of a diesel genset. So there are different components in this system if you want to go 100% off-grid.
Let's see, then we have a question from Richard, who says that about 30% efficiency of the Stirling engine. Why would you use a Stirling engine?
It's totally correct, 30% efficiency from the Stirling engine. But the key is not the efficiency. The key is the cost for the consumer of electricity, And what we can provide is a much lower cost of electricity than alternatives.
Great. So from Oscar at Redeye again, how important will the heat application be for your future customers? As the project returns becomes much better in this installation, will you add more focus towards this area?
I see it like this. Our customers, our projects will be profitable without the heat application. Adding the heat will of course improve the business case. Why the heat is an important part of the offer, but it's not the sort of deal breaker. We can still provide good business cases without the heat.
Yeah, that's good. So from Oscar again, are you aiming for a partner in the Australian market as well?
Yes, we will have partners in all of our target markets.
And then we have from Kevin again. He says, you mentioned in several reports, presentations, and in the share issue press release that energy as a service, SPV, and joint venture projects selling energy storage PPAs going forward. How is that affecting the cash flow of the company?
We have to remember that the energy as a service model for Azelio is an initial model. This is the model to bring the product to the market. In the long run, it will be direct sales. The owning assets is of course sort of you get your IRR owning the assets, but in the long run, the target is to have direct sales.
Good. So Oscar Wilhelmsson again asks, you have previously talked about storage also for wind power being possible later on. What is your current position on this?
At this moment, I mean, our energy storage system is charged with electricity, while in reality we can use any energy source that produces electricity. So wind power is already, it's possible to combine our system with wind power, although we have a very good fit with solar PV. Solar energy, of course, is the...
And Kevin asks again, and I think this is related to our transition from energy as a service business model to the direct sales model. Considering it will be monthly or quarterly payments of less, but over time higher than selling directly, how much do you need to generate in terms of sold test pods during a quarter to reach positive cash flow?
What we have communicated is still that during 2023 we will sell at least 10 projects, and these projects we aim for from 500 kilowatts up to 5 megawatts. So
let's see, where do we have the next one? Yeah, that's from Oscar again. Would it be possible with any governmental support for projects in the US market going forward?
I think the governmental support in the US is right now a really good opportunity, because with the Inflation Reduction Act, there are specific tax reductions for energy storage. So that is making the case in US even better. So definitely, yes.
Oh, that's good. So Kevin again asks, should we expect development banks, financiers, etc., ensuring a part of the upfront costs when the system becomes bankable? What steps are needed to the test pod being bankable, and when do you expect it?
So how to... I mean, of course, being in this market where we are in the same markets as the development banks are operating. And the development banks, they have huge interest in securing energy. So of course, the negotiations and discussions with the development banks is important for these markets going forward.
Right.
Yeah, we have a question over here.
Question from the audience?
Tack. Well, I'm Regarding the cash flow for the next year, you said you aim for 10 different projects, mid-size projects. But the main question is that are they going to be delivered as energy as a service or upfront payment, or how do you calculate with these 10 projects?
I foresee that this will be a transition in the beginning of 2023. I think what we foresee is that the first product in 2023, we will probably sell them as energy as a service. But the longer we sort of have units on the market, the higher is the possibility to sell them as direct sales. So this is a transition during 2023.
I assume that planning 10 projects for 2023, you have already started negotiation, so you know roughly what the customer want, or I mean, you have a long lead time for selling, I presume.
There are lead times for selling, but I don't think that I'm able to sort of go into that kind of information at this moment. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good, thank you. Oscar from Redeye again. Could you say something on the general expected IRR for the projects that you have in pipeline or under discussion today?
I think that we can once again have Ralph in the meeting, or in the...
Yeah. Oops. I mean, I can give you ideas. We have, let's say, we expect from our projects, and it depends in which geographic area you are, what is the solar irradiation in this area, what segment you are, what is the demand profile. But all the projects we have right now, we are discussing the future projects that are coming right now. We have a payback time between 4 to 8 years, and the IRR of the projects between 13 to 15%. So I think that gives us a very good win-win situation, let's say, for us and for our customers.
Thank you, Ralph. Another one from Oscar. When do you expect the UL certification to be finalized?
UL certification is a quite long process. It takes time. We initiated this work beginning of like before summer, and it will probably be, or our aim is to have it in place somewhere end of next year, end of next year.
All right. And Oscar also asks, what are your expectations on Mastar and Mazen for the coming years?
The product that we have with Mastar is that they will evaluate our product after roughly 12 months. And based on that, we will be eligible to be a technology in their portfolio. And this means that we will be assessed in many different sort of projects for them. And of course, this is very interesting, but I don't want to sort of state the volumes and anything. It's better to just see first, let the projects sort of finalize, and then we see how we collaborate with Mastar.
Right. So now I think we're at the final question for today. And that question is from Juan Manuel, who says, if the idea is to sell electricity as a service initially, so not have customers to pay up front for the units, what makes the leadership think that in the future you can transition to direct sales?
I would say that the energy as a service model is a proven model. This is used by many companies all over the world. As a technology provider, selling to these kind of product financing companies is something that is quite common. But you have to prove the technology on the market first, and that is really what we do by the energy as a service projects. We can prove that we are building profitable projects in the key markets. And this will then generate sort of new sales, and we will be able to sell not only to other energy service providers, but also, as we talked about, the producers of equipment. We can sell directly to the end customer and so on. But I really foresee that the key is to prove the model, and then there are others that already have the same model, but with other types of equipment. So I don't really see the threshold there.
Oh, good. So that was actually the last question that we will be answering today. So if you feel that we didn't answer your question properly, or if you have additional questions, you're welcome to send them via email to ir@azelio.com. That is ir@azelio.com. And we'll try to answer you as well as we can. Right, so by that, we conclude this Capital Markets Day. I would like to thank all our speakers, thank everyone who joined us here in the room and online. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.